guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about why, if you have the CCS certification, the Certified Coding Specialist, why you do not need the CPC or the Certified Professional Coder in addition to. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, I have been bothered by some of the comments that I've been getting lately about people saying that they didn't know that they didn't need a CPC in addition to the CCS. They already have the CCS. And the CCS, again, if you don't know, is a Certified Coding Specialist, and that is a credential offered with the American Health Information Management Association. This certification says that you have mastered inpatient coding and outpatient coding, that you know how to use the ICD-10-CM, the CPT, the HCPCS, and the ICD-10 PCS manual, that you can code for the physicians or you can code for the facility. We are tested on this certification exam. I currently have the CCSP, which is a mastery of the outpatient setting, and the CCS, which again, mastery of the inpatient and the outpatient setting. We are tested on reimbursement methodologies. We are tested on regulations and compliance, and that exam is very, very comprehensive. Now, on the other hand, there is AAPC, the American Academy of Professional Coders. This is another association. These are the two major medical coding associations. If you want to get certified in medical coding, one of these is all you need to get started, okay? But the CPC, if you don't know, the CPC is a Certified Professional Coder, and this is covering the outpatient setting only. It does cover like reimbursement questions and things like that, but it only tests on the ICD-10-CM, CPT, and the HCPCS manual. That's it. It does not question you about facility coding or anything like that, like inpatient coding. It does not ask you any of those questions. So that certification is only for the outpatient side. Now, some people, that's where they start their journey, because a lot of schools say, well, we offer AHIMA or AAPC. And not too long ago, AAPC was offering that if you take your test and you fail it, you can take it again for free. Now they charge for that, for you to do that. So before, a lot of people would say, okay, well, I get really bad test anxiety. Let me go ahead and go with AAPC because that makes more sense to me, and I feel like I can, if I fail, I can, have another try. Again, you have to pay for this now. But when I hear a comment, and I'm going to read a comment now before I go on, but I want you guys to know what these credentials are for. I say it many times on my channel, like about the breakdown of the credentials, and I talk about like the differences and why you don't need multiple and when and if you should ever attempt to get multiple. But let me read this comment before I get off in something else. So the comment says, I was surprised to hear that if you have the CCS, you do not have to take the CPC. A friend of mine said her employer is requiring that all employees which have only the CCS need another credential, which is the CPC. That is good info that I will pass along. And I said, that's a shame that people try to push credentials on people that they don't even need when their credential says that they've already mastered that. And I also went on to say, I just can't believe that. It's already an expensive field as it is, and imagine a person is already having the mastery credential, which is the CCS, and then having to be told that no, you have to get the CPC and spend more money on the test, on the association dues, which AAPC requires their members to be a member before you can take your certification exam. AHIMA does not. AHIMA does not require a membership. You do have to pay a separate fee to report your CEUs, and obviously for the test. Members and non-members have their own separate prices. But AAPC requires you to be a member every single year. If you do not pay their membership dues, which is $190 per year, they will revoke your credential. So that's an additional fee that you have to have. Now imagine this. You have the mastery certification already that says you know how to code inpatient and outpatient coding, and then you're being told that you need another certification that says that you can outpatient code? Really? Is that necessary? So leaders, we need to do better. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. We need to do better. If you don't understand what these certifications are, what it's testing on, then I encourage people to look up on the website what it is covering. If you have a candidate that comes to you and they have a CCS and they say, okay, well, I passed this certification exam, they should not have to be required to get another certification that says only part of what they can do with that CCS. So I want you guys to be very vigilant when it comes to these things. I would encourage anybody whose employer is telling them this. I am very much a regulations person. I want to see it in writing. Where is it required in writing that I have to have this other certification? And if they knew this prior to being hired. Because if you get hired and they know, they have to verify your credentials. They have to. That's just a requirement. I was verified many times, and so that's okay, because I am a current degree certification holder, so I have to have my credentials verified. And even still to this day, even working, they still spot check us and make sure that our credentials are current. So I would want it in writing. Please show me in writing where it says that I am required to have this certification, and why wasn't I told when I first started that I was going to need this one in particular, when my certification says that I have mastered the outpatient setting already with what I have. And so again, I would say that I want that in writing. I would like to see that, please. And also, I would get human resources involved too, because again, if they hired you and you have that and they never said that, and all of a sudden they're requiring it, do we know that it's not just a preference of the supervisor or the manager to have everybody have that certification? Because when I started here, at where I'm working now, my coding home, my boss, wonderful lady, she is certified with AAPC. She has her CPC. And when she first started at the facility, none of the girls were certified, none of them. But she is a former drill sergeant, and she's a very strong woman. I admire her very much. And she encouraged everybody. She got everybody into a certification program and said, okay, guys, we're gonna prepare you to take the CPC, because that's what she knew. That's what she was familiar with. That's who she was certified through. When she found me, I had the CCA, the Certified Coding Associate. Now, that is considered the entry-level certification in medical coding. It is still a very viable certification. I hear a lot of ignorant comments. Oh, CCAs can't do anything. Really? Okay, let's back up a little bit again and look at what the CCAs are tested on. This just says that you're entry level, that you have the competence to be able to code for inpatient and outpatient coding. Okay, you're not the master yet, but you know enough to get around. Okay, so again, that's somebody who has a CCA, knows a lot, and it is a very difficult exam to pass. So again, think about what you're asking of the candidates when they're coming in. So my boss was like, okay, well, I know she has a CCA, no big deal. I know that you can code inpatient and outpatient. Come on board, So when I was there, I was just so excited to be there. But when the girls started finding out, hey, she's not certified with AAPC, she's certified with AHIMA. Well, why don't you get a AAPC certification? Why? Well, don't you want to be like the rest of us? My certification already says I can code outpatient. Why would I want to get another credential that says the same thing when I already have it with this certification? Well, Blue, all of us are with AAPC, yes, and AHIMA accepts AAPC CEUs, and there's nothing different about me other than the fact that I can code inpatient as well, and that we were all tested on the same principles, right? Diagnosis coding, procedure coding, but I also had inpatient coding on my test, which they did not. So again, I won that argument, because I'm not going to sit here and get another certification. Why? It's more money that has to be spent. Now think about this, folks. If you already have this certification, the CCS, and AHIMA does not require you to be a member, but they will charge you for reporting your CEUs, which that's that is reasonable because that is what they do. They have to be able to process and do all of these things. It's just a small fee. It's not that bad. I think it's like $100. It may be $100. I have to look at it. I'm a member, so I don't look at the non-member stuff, but I know they charge for that separately. So with that, think about this. Now look at your salary, okay? And now look at, okay, with the CCS, if you just have that one, it's 20 CEUs. With AAPC, the CPC, it requires 36 continuing education units. So that's more CEUs that you have to put out. Because while they do give some free CEUs with having a membership and being a member, they don't cover all 36. You still have to go out and find your own. And you can either pay for them or you can try to see if you can find some free ones. And there are plenty of free ones out there, guys. You just have to do your research and look for them. There's a ton of them on LinkedIn. There's a lot of vendors that are giving free CEUs all the time. So you can look for those on LinkedIn. Please don't ask me. Please don't send me an email saying, Blue, where can I find them? I'm telling you now, you can look on LinkedIn. But be very protective of the money that you're spending, of the time that you're having to invest in other things. Now, again, I have said that if you are going to get additional credentials, right? People say, well, Blue, I want to get additional credentials. And well, what if I'm a CPC and I want to get the CCS? Okay, if you have the CPC currently and you want to get the CCS, that's a step up. That's an upgrade in your credential status, right? Because that says, again, that you can code inpatient and outpatient. If you choose to let your CPC lapse after you get the CCS, that's okay, because again, you still have a really great credential. The CCS is the gold standard of medical coding credentials. I know a lot of people say, oh, CPC is a gold standard, but the thing is, with the CCS, you can code inpatient and outpatient, and that's pretty dang powerful. So, like I said, if you choose to do that way and go that way and only carry the one, that is perfectly fine, because again, you're still saying that you've mastered inpatient and outpatient, and that's still a great thing. And some people keep both of them. They start with the CPC and they say, well, Blue, I worked really hard for it. I don't want to give it up. And that's totally fine if you want to do that. But I'm just talking to the people that have the CCS and they're being told incorrectly that they need the CPC. That you do not need the CPC, guys. Don't do it. Okay? That's just my advice anyway. And I'm not here to sell you anything. I don't have anything to sell you. Okay? I'm just trying to bring you guys the truth. I hate to see people get taken advantage of. I had a comment from another viewer. She was so excited. She says, oh, I already have my CCS, but I got it a couple of years ago, and I'm so excited I'm going to take my CPC. And I asked her, I was like, why are you going to take the CPC when you've already mastered the CCS? And it says you can code inpatient and outpatient. I don't understand. And so she said, well, no one explained that to me. And that was like, okay, I was shook. I was like, okay, I need to do a video about this, because I don't want people to be taken advantage of, and I don't want people to think that, oh, the more credentials I have, the more I'm going to be marketable, the more people are going to want to hire me, the more money I'm going to make. This is simply not true. Now, yes, there is some benefit to additional credentials, but let's be very careful about what you're adding on and make sure that it does not overlap with what you already currently hold. So somebody who has a CCS, if you're interested in doing clinical documentation improvement, then by all means, get the CDIP, get the CCDSO or the CCDS. That is perfectly fine, because that is two different things, right? This says medical coding and the other one says specifically clinical documentation improvement. So there's those things. You can get more specialized. There's a clinical data health analyst one as well, if that's what you do. Again, that is something completely separate. If you're getting a degree, yes, it is almost always, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, required that a degree holder has a medical coding certification. I'm going to do another show about that. But yes, and the reason that most are asked to get a medical coding certification is because the concentration of the degree programs, whether it is the registered health information technician certification that you hold, or the designation rather, the associate's degree, Or the bachelor's degree, the RHIA designation, the Registered Health Information Administrator. If you have one of these two, if your employer says, hey, we need you to get a medical coding certification, that's understandable, because the medical coding part of those programs, if you look at the syllabus for any approved CAHIM approved program for HIM, if you look at that, you'll see that the coding is just a very small portion. And a lot of times it says introduction to medical coding. So it's really not the concentration of those degree programs. The degree programs are for our leaders, and they are meant for them to be trained to lead. That is the difference there. So yes, you would need a medical coding credential. It would be helpful if you did, because again, you may be called upon to break that argument between the auditor and the coder. And so you would be the neutral party. And so that makes sense. All right. But again, when you look at these credentials, look at the job listings if you don't believe me. Okay. Again, this is just my opinion, and this is what I know from the industry. Now, I tell people things that a lot of people don't say because either they're trying to sell a product, or they don't care if you know or not, or, you know, it's your money, you do whatever you want to. And of course, there's going to be people that are upset with me. I really don't care, guys. I'm not about, oh, I want to make sure that I make everybody happy. I know there's going to be times when I'm not going to make people happy. I know this. But for those that I can save and to keep them from having to spend more money out of their pocket for something that they don't need, that's what I'm after. Because again, when you think about it, now you have your salary, right? I did the cost comparison between AHIMA and AAPC for the first 2 years of having one certification. And the cost difference is quite substantial. You know, AHIMA was $900 and something dollars, while AAPC was $2,400 for the first 2 years. And so again, when you go through all their bells and whistles, so that's the difference between the two. And when you think about it long term, that money adds up. It adds up like that. And then you want to keep on adding on, adding on, adding on. Don't add on for things that are unnecessary. Add on for things that are necessary. Like if you are trying to get better with medical terminology and you think you need a medical terminology class, or maybe you feel like if you invest a little bit into a different app or something like that for medical terminology or anatomy, then by all means do that. That makes sense, because it's the caliber of the coder and not the credential that they hold that makes a difference. As long as you are certified with AHIMA or AAPC, I say this, you only need one. You only need one, and you do not have to invest in an alphabet after your name, especially when you do not have experience. When you have experience, then yes, because then you're going to know, you're going to understand what you're adding on. But if you're brand new and you're adding on CPB, CRC, CPMA, all these things that you are already tested on with that CPC exam, again, guys, more money going out. More credentials does not equal that you're going to get hired faster, because if you do not have the experience to back up those credentials, you're not getting hired faster. And if you can't pass a entrance test, a assessment test, if you can't pass that, you're not getting a call back. So concentrate on passing those assessment tests. Get into the industry. Find out if you even like it before you start investing all this money. At least that's my advice anyway. Again, it's y'all's career, but I will tell you this. I've been very successful. I've made a very good living for myself, having one credential for 13 years. I had the CCA, the Certified Coding Associate. Now that I have my experience in, I got the CCSP at the beginning of the year, and I got the CCS. Yes. Do those credentials overlap? Yes, they do. Am I keeping them both? Yes. But the difference between me and anything else is the fact that I've had experience. I know. And yeah, I got the CCSP first, and then I got the CCS. So there's a difference there. And while I will keep them, I know that it's not going to get me more money. What will get me more is the knowledge that I do have. And I have quite a bit of knowledge. So I'll take that all day long and twice on Sunday. But anyway, that's my advice, guys. So if you already have the CCS, give yourself a pat on the back. You're doing wonderful, because that is a very difficult exam to pass as it is. Keep studying, keep learning, keep growing, and don't let anybody tell you what they think that you need, okay? And leaders, if you're out there trying to push a certification when you know that person is already capable of doing something, let's really consider that, because you're impacting their ability to earn money, because again, it's more money that's being put out, and that's not right. This is my advice anyway. So I'm going to wrap this one up. If this video helped you, I hope that you will share it. Please share it with somebody that you know, especially another student who maybe doesn't know about what's going on. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.